Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
This is for May 8th. Yeah.
so right
That's
now,
right.
we're just making sure that
They
this
moved the
is,
meeting up from the 17th to the.
No, it
8th.
isn't.
It's back to the 17th.
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioner Lincoln. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So low.
okay. I'm gonna have to start the other meeting in 7 minutes, but I have to be on
Promptly out.
time. Because
No
I thought the
problem.
meeting is starting at 10, I have a fundraiser for me at noon.
Oh,
I
so,
must
okay.
be out of here at 11:30.
We'll speak fast, Chair Geller.
Okay, I can do that. All right, so let's briefly just talk about, this is a pre-planning for the May 8th meeting, and it's still on May 8th, correct?
No,
No. The work,
May's is,
Okay. Work program is scheduled.
the council meeting is May 15th at the Miami-Dade County TPO.
Yes. We can, I want to talk about April 17th. We have a very light agenda.
okay,
So maybe if we get far along on the work program conversation, we can have it.
but we only have 7 minutes left of the work program conversation, so but this is not, this is just a pre-meeting to discuss that meeting, correct?
Okay, so
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
And for the record, this
April
is a
17th.
preliminary discussion, it's not a formal meeting of the
No,
council.
no,
This
this
No,
is
no,
not
this is
even
just
a-
staff talking to, yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
It's there, okay, so
there's still.
we're looking at,
something there.
I guess, 3 types of programs. I think everybody knows I'm looking at 3 types of programs. Number 1 is have the SEDS committee doing things.
Mhm.
Number 2 is having us doing joint meetings with the TCRPC, and number 3 is having our own programs. I will tell you, and I just think the difference as to where we are today versus 2 years ago is night and day. We are actually doing regional planning now, which is what I've been pushing for years. You've heard me complain. You haven't heard me complain recently, you've only heard me compliment. It is a big difference. So on the said, I see that we're gonna be talking a lot about sustainability, but sustainability, we have to figure out on the SEDS. If we want to be doing something, which I do, with to keep the SEDS together, I like the SEDS to meet as possibly 3 times a year, but
Okay.
probably 2 or 3 times a
2 to
year.
3 times.
These are very busy people
Yeah.
that we need to schedule meetings 2 to 3 months in advance.
Very true.
And then there's a kind of, between the SEDS are joint meetings. I don't know, Sam or Isabel, how would you classify the affordable housing, which was a mayor's meeting? That's neither, and that included Palm Beach.
Right.
So
I
I
think that was a
guess maybe
regional.
there's a 4th category, which is
Regional.
regional, but kind of super, regional plus Palm Beach.
Right.
RPC plus Palm Beach.
Okay.
I mean, it does fall under SEDS. Everything falls under SEDS.
Yeah,
technically.
except nothing SEDS did affects Palm Beach.
Yeah,
Mm.
okay.
Yeah, only the Clean Cities program includes Palm Beach,
Right.
since they don't have the,
Cities,
And
I'm
LAPC.
including
okay,
as just under the just.
SFRPC.
But really TTRPC doesn't.
No, they don't, yeah.
So, we're looking at
Okay.
sustainability. Now, hold on, Sam, for our executive committee, we need 3 people. Person in present in person. Me and who else?
Whoever.
We're showing up. So
Today?
Yeah,
Nobody.
right. It is not
This is a
just
discussion.
discussion, not actually an executive committee meeting.
Okay, gotcha.
Because there was some challenge.
You have the wrong mic picked,
Okay.
so I can hear everything you comment.
But not by statute, principally just the conversation.
But, okay, but it's noticed, right?
It is-
Yes, yes.
So we can speak to each other. Right, okay. So in terms of the work planning, what I am hoping that we will be able to do at our next work planning meeting, whenever that will be, is, I understand we've discussed 3 or 4 dates in April and May, but I'm looking at 4 groups. Okay, number 1, as I said, SEDS. 2 is joint us, TC, RPC, SFRPC. 3, just us, and I'm including Clean Cities as just us. And then 4 is us plus Palm Beach. And that would be things like when we did the transit, we had to include Palm Beach. If we're doing, some of the other issues, we have to include Palm Beach, or it's really not regional, but it's not either. So these are the 4 things, and what I'd like us to be doing, and I don't have ideas right now, nor do we have in the next 2 or 3 minutes time to go over it. What I'd like us to be going over is, by the way, Michelle, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good, because what I'd like us to be going over for the next meeting, I'd like us to set up a calendar for at least the next year, possibly the next year and a half, understanding that the further out we go, the less, less certainty there will be. Certainly, there will be no certainty on dates, but I'd like us to just get topics that, all right, here's 5 topics for each that we can go over, and we'll do, this is the next one, and then the one after that can be one of these 2, and then so do we all?
I'll send it to Isabel and.
Great. Okay, and Michelle, if you have any ideas as well, the reason I'm asking is, again, we're breaking this down into kind of 5 groups. We've got the SEDS, which is the 3 counties, but it's separate because it'll be done by the SEDS, not by us. Then we've got a second is SFRPC. A third is SFRPC plus Palm Beach. And a 4th is SFRPC/TCRPC. And again, I don't want to poach, Palm Beach, but there's some programs that we just can't do. Like, we can't discuss regional transit without Palm Beach. And there's just some similarities between Dade, Broward, Palm Beach that they have to be included. Yeah.
Getting the SEDS members together 2 to 3 meetings a year, just talk about issues or.
Specific, I'm looking at specific functions. One idea which we had, which may or may not work, is the upcoming Silver Tsunami, because they represent, the SEDS committee represents both the largest employers and the largest government and the hospitals in the area, and perhaps, whether I'm just as an example, which we will never do, it will be too complicated. But if we put, the SFRPC and the TCRPC in and set up our own retirement account, or not for the RPCs, but a lot of states have set up their own retirement accounts. And if we did just the counties in SFRPC and TCRPC, we would be 10th largest, 12th largest state in the country.
So the aim of the event will be to
The aim of
advocate.
the aim of the event with the SEDS committee is to bring up a topic that we can actually work on and discuss.
Okay,
Okay,
well, that's what I did for
Yes.
the first and last, I grouped.
first and last mile was a good example of one that works.
Okay, well,
Senator Garcia, how are you?
I'm doing great, my friend. How are you?
Okay, what we were just discussing is, and then we're gonna have to pretty much end this and start, maybe we may get back to it. I have to leave here by 11:30 sharp. So, we're gonna have 4 different groupings. We're having the SEDS committee, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. they are the biggest, actually five, they are the biggest, businesses, governments, hospitals, universities, all in Southeast Florida. So at Dade Broward and Monroe County. So that would be one, and we're looking at having them meet maybe twice a year to try and tackle specific projects. Then we're looking at SFRPC, as we know, having one big meeting a year and one, well, we wanted, actually, I guess we're just talking about one big conference a year, like we did last year on waste, solid waste. And then we're also looking at some other meetings. We're looking at a joint conference like we did with the TCRPC, which was solid waste. We're looking at a joint meeting once a year, well, twice a year, but one would be a big one like we just did and JV. Well, that was primarily on environmental issues. We've also put together the mayors of Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. They had an affordable housing summit, in which we need to be following up on. So there's a lot of topics, and what I'm hoping that former Chair Bailey and you, Senator Garcia, and you, Commissioner Lincoln, can give it, just start, not today, but coming up with ideas, because there's a lot of big issues. As I said, one of the things I have discussed that might be a SEDS issue is, you know, the silver tsunami. Maybe we can talk to them about how we can better prepare, because there's two problems there. The fastest growing cohort of homeless is elderly. And if you look at, we're going to have a retirement crisis that we haven't seen in a long time, because 401ks were never meant to replace pensions. They were meant to be in addition, but instead they become a substitute. And there's a massive difference between the average and the median. The average worker, I think it was 60, has like 800,000 in their 401k, but the median's only 150. Because you have a small number of very highly paid people who may have several million, but then the overwhelming majority are 150, 200,000, or some don't have any. And if you look at that, that's going to be a massive problem under the famous 4% rule. If you have 200,000, you can withdraw 8,000 a year. That's going to do a lot to help you with your living expenses the rest of your life. And also with the rise of the gig economy, more and more people aren't paying into Social Security. They think it's so great that they're not paying into Social. Look, I'm getting more money in my paycheck, and they don't realize when they go to retire.
You're not gonna have it anyway. I saw an article today that talks about Social Security is dead in the water
It-
in 10 years.
It's not, but okay. If no change are made, it would be 80%, but. So that's a huge thing. Yeah, I saw it, water. Commissioner, water is obviously such a big issue. I think we need to, either look at, sea level rise / resiliency, or drinking water, or septic to sewer, or, I mean, I think water is the single biggest issue, but it's so. Sorry? Okay, so we're looking at a lot on resiliency, obviously, after they've just passed the SB 102, we're going to be looking a lot at more at affordable housing. By the way, a lot of the things they did there are not gonna have that big of an impact. Because what they say on this, that you can put residential in any commercial at any density. That's only if you're going 40% affordable. And I don't know any market rate developers that are able to afford to put in 40% affordable housing, even if you gave them free land. So, you know, we'll have, I don't want to spend a lot more time on this right
We'll
now.
continue the conversation.
But I want all of you to think, I would like you to send to either Isabel or Sam, who will then circulate among all of us. You know, once we have a list, so that at our meeting, and I'm not sure yet whether this is coming up in April or May, because as I've been sitting here, we've been getting discussions as to when we should be doing this, which of our meetings, but we have to come up with a work plan. And I would there's a lot of smart people here and experienced people, and I'm just hoping that we can come up with ideas. Any questions? No, okay.
I guess we should start our meeting.
Let's start our unofficial meeting because we don't have 3 people here in person, which means since this meeting has been noticed, we can meet. We just can't meet officially, meaning we can talk. We are not violating sunshine because it's a noticed meeting. We just don't have enough people present to have a quorum to vote.
Mr. Chair, it is in essence a workshop, although the only decisions can be made in those which are, it's a discussional, non-decisional meeting for the purposes of the public record. Should any
Isn't
member of the
guidance
public.
for staff
Thank
to
you.
know what to do.
And thank you all, by the way, for logging in and being available.
All right, so I think the biggest, first, council member Lincoln,
Just call roll again for the record, Mr. Chair, make sure we know that the record reflects who's present.
okay. Is there anybody present besides former Chair Bailey, Senator Garcia, and Council Member Lincoln? No, I just called the roll.
Duly noted. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chair. Thank you.
I think, again, Michelle, you know, we've been informed of the loss of your mom, Gloria, and, you know, we are all
Very sorry.
very sorry, deeply saddened. I mean, I
Thank
know.
you.
Disgusting.
Thank you. It
We're-
came as a shock. She went fast. She fell in January and I've been going back and forth to Louisville every 5 days. So it's been a whirlwind, but I greatly appreciate your all's thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
How old she was.
She would have been 85 if she would have made it to last Saturday. So she had a good life.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Very sorry
Again.
again, boss.
Please extend our sympathy. The main issue that we need to be meeting about right now, chairing a meeting, call you back, is our budget. As everybody knows, and remember, we cannot vote today. I just would like input. We have been doing a lot more in the last year and a half, 2 years than we have since we lost our governmental authorization ability to do things. We've been doing the military installation review. Again, the mayor's call. We've had multiple conferences, which are expensive because they've all been catered. And those are very expensive. This amount of staff time that we have been expending. Isabel, can you do a quick, I know we have,
Leo is teed up to give a.
Leo?
overview.
Leo, can you do a quick synopsis on what it is that we've done over the last year or so? I think you have it.
Yeah, so if the council members look to.
Okay, no,
No,
Leo,
Good morning, everyone.
Leo, not yet.
Hold on. So if the council members would look at agenda item 3B, you'll see the quick overview. It starts on page 3 the different regional convenings that we've been having, what's being planned for the future, as well as some selected programs of activities. This is gonna be filled out more, but it gives you sort of a framework for understanding all the different things that your staff is involved in.
But in the meantime, very brief, I mean, again, the MIRR, the clean cities,
Oh,
the,
sure.
just some of the highlights.
Yeah,
of
so,
it.
so the economic development, our work with EDA.
Yeah, the SEDS was a massive undertaking.
SEDS implementation is underway. Again, we're doing the 4 installation, military installation resilience review. We're running multiple revolving loan programs, including the CARES, the traditional loan program, or brownfields program, and also the Community Development Finance Institute, Southeast Florida Development Fund, pardon me. We have the Southeast Florida Twin Cities Coalition that was just redesignated by the Department of Energy. And it's been actually highlighted by them as one of the best programs in the nation. We have our emergency preparedness work that's in multiple, there's a couple of different things in there. We're also working as part of the staff with a regional climate change compact, working climate economic resilience. We're very big in transportation mobility and affordable housing. We're following up on the affordable housing meeting that we had a few months ago. And we have contracts and work that we're doing with the Regional Transportation Authority or Department of Transportation District 6. And right now, today, we're signing a contract with Miami-Dade TPO to look at affordable housing proximate to transit. We're very excited about that. Of course, we continue our work with Florida Coral Reef and coordination collaboration activities in any number of areas. Also, Senator Garcia, you'll be happy to know that I've spoken with staff in Miami-Dade County, also Olga, who's with the Solid Waste Department. I keep Idalia, in the loop with all of the stuff that we're doing. So as not to bother you too much with all the details, because Idalia knows them. But we also connected with Mike Fernandez. And we're having a conversation, how we move forward on the solid waste. It's just sort of been slowed down between spring break and now Easter break. There's been some schedules that are been a little harder to follow, but we're moving forward aggressively on that.
The point that I'm making is that we are doing a lot. And as we do a lot, our costs have gone up substantially.
Mhm.
Again, catering by itself has been very substantial, but the amount of staff time that is applied is monumental. We had voted to adopt a quarter of a 1.25 penny increase over 5 years. And that there are questions that it looks now like that's not even keeping up with inflation. Or if it is, it's just not enabling us to actually do everything we want to do. So let me now call on Leo for a presentation, and then I'm going to ask for some discussion. Leo.
Good
Now,
morning, everyone. Chair, do you want me to present the financials first or the graphs?
do we,
You could go to the graphs.
we're going to skip financials because we can't do anything. We're not even in executive committee meeting. All right.
He can use his
Wh-
judgment. on
Okay,
what-
Leo, whichever you think best.
Yeah.
If you want to present them, do
Let's
so.
start with the financials, that they are on track. This is the general fund, where we have decreased our fund in 146,000 for assets as well as total liabilities and balance. The other funds we will not discuss since we don't have the full board, but I wanted to go to our profit and loss or income statement. If you see the annual budget has been approved, are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so if you look at the total budget that was approved for revenues, we approved $3.3 million budget. When we approved a $3.4 million budget for expenses. That leaves us in a deficit of $138,000. That was approved by the board at the beginning of this year. It's the first time in the 3 years that we have this. But let me tell you that this deficit is only this year, and it has been backed up by the fund that we generated fortunately last year and the previous 2 years, thanks to COVID funding and CARES Act different programs. So what I'm trying to show here is that this deficit that we're showing here cannot be sustainable in time.
This one around.
Coming up next, I'll show you and I'll share the data that we have here corresponding to the actual expenses this year. And as you can see, we have the project breakdown by month. These are only, this stat graph that we have here, I'll explain in a second, is only the general funds that we're spending month after month. That goes from October last year through February this year. And we're on average at $30,000 per month only in general funds projects. The highest drivers that you will see here are, of course, overall management and the regional meetings that we have. That's our red dots here. During the month of November, we spent $8,000 for the meeting that we had. And the last meeting, the first last mile meeting that we had in February, only in that one and only for personnel expenses, we spent $10,000. If we keep going at this rate, that's an elevated rate without increasing our rates, our dues.
Okay. Did you have more, or were you done?
That's all I have for today, unless you have any questions.
I'm sure we will.
Thank you, Leo.
Leo, just out of curiosity, do you know how much have we spent at our prior meetings on catering?
The last bill that I got was somewhere around $3,000.
Okay.
So it's a high
So it's a
expense.
lot less than the
That's the last
actual
one.
staff time.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was not $3,000. First, last time?
Yeah.
No, that was.
Aranda can say better than me because she's the one that got the bill straight.
How much do you think?
It was around 1,800 or so.
Okay,
300.
so again, much less. The issue here is staff time. Isabel, are there any, I will note, I was going to ask, but in the interest of time, 2011 is the year that we lost the governmental authority that we had. At the time, we had 19 full-time positions. But going back, for example, to 2016, we had 12 full-time to part-time. And we just weren't doing the amount of things we're doing now. And now we have less staff positions than we had then. Now we're at 12 full-time, no part-time. And we're just we're doing what I've been asking us to be doing. Regional planning doesn't come for free. If we're going to do, everybody that has attended our meetings, the first and last mile, the water thing that we had in Davie, the solid waste, everybody that's been there has commented on how good they are. This is what we should be doing, regional planning. But Isabel, are there any positions in particular that you think we need? We may not be able to afford all of them.
Right. So, when you look at item 3C, you'll see a summary of the different positions and staffing levels at the council over time. So right now, we're going to be getting a deputy director, an interim deputy director with an eye for that person to become executive director. I strongly suggest that person have a deputy director. I have not been able to because of financial constraints, but I have to tell you, it's really difficult and it's harder to do my job because of that. So I imagine whoever is coming in is going to want to have someone like that. We lost our data and research capacity some time ago. We've been able to subcontract some of it out, but our economic development professional, which is Araba, is very good in keeping everything moving forward. but she herself would admit that she was not trained formally in economic development. It would be very good, seeing that EDA is our primary federal contract, one of them. So, it'd be good to have a real, seasoned economic development planner and data research manager. And also I would say that it's also very important in the front office to get some senior administrative support, because the time will come when Kathy will want to retire. And so we need to start thinking ahead. We all want to have lives. So there's a point where.
I have
we're
no
gonna-
life, why should you have them?
Well, the point is that one day Kathy is gonna want to have a life that beyond the office. I mean, instead of working here every weekend, catching up, because we don't have enough people. So we need to be training right now proactively, someone that can come in and have a good level experience that can be trained up to take that position. And I'm not talking about entry level positions. We have done entry level positions for a long time. And, I'm sorry, sometimes you need to really get someone that's more senior and professional. It would be nice to augment our resilience, planning area as well, as there are opportunities there, but again, that requires an analysis to see.
And obviously, we're not gonna get
We can't
all of
do
these
all
people.
this, no.
Leo, you had something you wanted to say, I believe?
Let me add something important, Chair Geller. If you take a look at our budget again, only $970,000 come from dues. That means that 70% of our budget is leverage funds from different projects. Most of them are federal. That means that the SFRPC is bringing money to South Florida thanks to the dues that we're getting from the counties. 70% of our funding comes from federal and state projects. That's all.
Okay. Well, Leo, while you're talking, I was just about to call on you anyhow, I think, although maybe I'll be calling on Isabel. Can you, or I'm gonna ask, Isidro, meaning either of you,
Oh.
to show us where we are now compared to the other regional planning councils.
I have it. So in terms of dues, council members, even with the increase of last year of 20 cents per capita, and there's a different miles.
No,
for-
no, 220 cents per capita.
Yeah, 220
Right,
cents,
you
yeah.
said up.
Oh, well, we used to be 17.5 cents for 28 years. So, because we never increased our dues.
And that put us in a hole by not increasing our dues for
Well,
28
It
years.
makes it just very hard to
Right.
work, that is for sure.
Okay,
So in South Florida, we're now at 20 cents per capita, which among the folks that get their dues from counties, as opposed to a mix of county and cities, we're still still the lowest in the state. I will say Central Florida is supposed to be increasing their dues to 37 cents. Fiscal year 22-23, so they should be doing it going now. East Central is a little bit over 20 cents, but again, a more rural area than urban. Northeast Florida is at 41 cents per capita. And Treasure Coast is at 43 cents per capita.
and we're at 20.
And we're at 20, projected to go over the next 4 years up
Right.
to 25.
We had voted, I'm looking this way so I can look at you, but I realize that means
means
you're
that-
seeing the side of my face.
Hey, we need to move
Okay,
that thing over
right.
here.
So,
So,
we have previously voted to increase by 1.25 cents per year for the next 4 years, which would bring us up to 25 cents 4 years from now, which, unless I'm wrong, will still leave us as the lowest because the others are also increasing theirs from, just as an example, this year, Central Florida went from
here we're-
30 to 37.
here we're supposed to-
And I look at, Treasure Coast at 43, Northeast Florida at 41. I don't know that even in 4 years, if we get to 25, we can accomplish what we want to accomplish. So
Mhm.
there are 3 plans on the table. Isabel or Leo, at Isabel's discretion, will discuss them.
Okay,
And then I would like discussion from the members here, which is limited to Mario, Michelle, and Renee, as well as myself.
Okay, so council members, if you take a look,
Plan A is what I've already described to you,
yes,
which is 1.25 cents, take us up to 25 cents in another 4 years. And Isabel will now go over the two alternative options.
yes. Okay, council members, if you look at agenda item 3C, you'll see on the back page, and please on your computer amplify it so you can see it better. So what you have here are 3 scenarios and they're color coded. I will point out that this is based on population, because remember, it's a per capita rate and we don't have any population numbers. So those are held steady just for a point of illustration. So current member dues, again, what the board thankfully, and thank you so much, agreed was we were gonna go 1.25 cents now for the next 4 years. That is in the rose color. So that would tell you there how much,
If they don't have it in front of them, what are the numbers?
okay.
I'm sharing the screen.
Oh,
for them
okay.
to
Yeah,
be able to
thank
see.
you. That's
why
a
you
great
see.
idea.
Yep.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you
problem.
for doing that. I don't see it though.
It's not showing.
It's bright blue.
Okay, they see it. Okay, great. So you can see it there. And then
Okay.
scenario.
Hold on. Can you all see it on the screen?
Yes,
Okay,
Thank you, Councilmember Lincoln.
Yes.
So then scenario 2, instead of increasing it, would just bump it up a little bit. So it would be it'd be plus 0.020 for the next 4 years as opposed to 0.0125. So, and then there you see, and that's more like the bluish purplish color. And that would take us up over 4 years to 28 cents per capita. The prior one, the status quo, as we mentioned before, would take us up to 25 cents. And then in the green, in the light green, you see what it would take for us to get to 30 cents per capita for fiscal year 26-27. And that would be, again, a little more, it'd be 2.5 cents as opposed to 2 cents, right? There we go. So yeah, that's really what it is. It's 1.25 cents, 2 cents, and 2.5 cents per year.
so. Any of these would put us lower when we're done than the others are now, but it would help. Again, every one of you, I think, has heard me complain. And by the way, every penny we raises give or take about 50 grand. So if we raise by 5 cents over 4 years, that's helpful. That's an extra 250,
Right.
but it's also another 4 or 5 years of inflation factored in.
Yeah, it's kind of extravagant amount.
Right, so- And again, we're still lower. I don't know any regional planning council in the state. And Isabel, I'll let you correct me, that's doing the quality or quantity of work that we're doing on planning. Are you aware of any?
Not in regional convenings. I mean, all the regional councils do some regional convening, and to be fair, I don't really know the extent of all their work. But I will say that we are one of the most active in that area at this point in time.
Yeah.
Given the direction the council and effort we're undertaking.
We're doing what I've asked us to do, and I think we're gonna need additional revenue. Whether that's going from 1.25 cents a year to 2 cents a year or 2.5 cents a year. I kind of think 2.5 cents, because in the greater scheme of things, let me read how that would affect the county, the money we're getting from the counties. The difference for Broward County between the 1.25 and the 2.5 annually, 4 years from now, so it's compounding, is less than $100,000. The difference in Monroe County is 5,000. The difference in Dade County, which is the biggest one, is is about 140,000. So, let me ask, either, Commissioner, Councilmember Bailey, Councilmember Garcia, Councilmember Lincoln, what do y'all think? One of you should say something. Chair Bailey, are you getting set to speak?
Yes. First, I want to say it's an amazing job what you're doing to leverage the funds that you're currently getting. And it's sad to see that we are lower than our counterparts. I have I guess a slight word of caution. I'm not a county commissioner, so I can't speak to their projected budget. We have been experiencing a great deal of surplus in the past few years, a lot of federal dollars coming in. But now we're starting to see in business, a lot of companies are cutting back. We're seeing layoffs across the country. A lot of the federal dollars I don't see them flowing as large in the next few years. And so I caution adding something that we can't sustain, because the worst thing would be to add a certain level and then have to dip back down and to go into cut. But you guys are in a better position than I, because you actually sit on the commissions. It doesn't seem like it's too large of an increase, but I can't truly speak for the county commission. But the work you're doing is great work, and it's really they rely on your services. And so I don't know if we go for the largest amount. I do think we definitely need an increase, but I want to make sure that we're looking at what's to come in the next, I want to say 3 to 5 years with uncertainty, layoffs, and a smaller flow of federal dollars coming down to the counties and the state. So just something to think about. Again, you guys are doing an amazing job. And I would be there in person, but I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama for meetings today. So thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Michelle, Renee? Renee, Dade County is going to be the 800-pound gorilla here. It's really up to Dade pays more than the other two combined. You are at present, Broward County is approximately 2 million. Dade is approximately 2.8, and Monroe is approximately 84. So, the question is, considering everything that we've been doing, do you believe that Dade would be willing to go along with our current dues, with the increases we've already voted on? Dade would be 696,000. If we increase it if we double that increase to 2.5 cents a year instead of 1.25, that would take it from 696 to 835,000. That's in 4 years. Again, I'm sure Broward will not be a problem, because for us, the increase is about 70,000, and we lose that much behind our couch cushions.
No.
But, I hate to phrase it that way, but we have
$1,000.
dollar budget. And, yours is what, 9 billion?
About 10, yeah. Listen,
Yeah.
I do, no one likes increases, right? But I see how this county commission spends, so I would think that they would be okay with it. But however, and I can't speak for my fellow commissioners, as you very well know, but we just, I'll take it back and circle back with them. But I get where we are, and with the increased costs where everything is going up. I see. Do we, on our budget, do we have shortfalls right now? We don't have any shortfalls, right? I don't think we do.
We don't have shortfalls, but we don't have the personnel we need either. That's the big problem.
Okay.
Just adding a deputy director by itself would use up most of the,
Just 3 pennies.
yeah. So, that kind of uses up you know, a lot of it. And then the rest is inflation. So I'm hoping, when Isabel had asked me for several years to raise it, and I kept saying no, because before we can ask for a raise, we need to show the commissions what we're doing, why we're important. And I think over the last year and a half, we finally have actually been doing that. So that's why I'm comfortable now. But Michelle, what's your thought?
Thank you,
With
Chair
your
Geller.
$5,000.
You know, and I know that, but we're also being faced right now with some very significant infrastructure projects, raising our roads. We're having water main pipe breaks up and down the county, and a lot of the funds we're struggling for, matching funds, is going to cost us money. So when you look at it and you say it's only 2.5 cents per capita, but it is 2.5 cents that we might be able to spend somewhere else. So to take, I mean, I have no problem taking it back to my commissioners and have them look at it. I think we would probably feel more comfortable with the 2 cents versus the 2.5 cents. You know, draw a happy medium there. I question right now, when we're putting on our events and you're asking about the catering, are we not charging enough for people to attend the event? Or, I mean, I think the events we've been having have really been great. I don't think people would mind spending.
It's like a next
Right.
phase.
We have not been charging for those, but we have discussed this. I believe we will start charging for those now. But yeah, again, the catering on that, at the last one, I think was $1,800, while the staff time was 10 or 15,000. I mean, we're talking but I agree with you that we have to, I think we need to start charging a nominal amount. We
Sure.
charge $25 or $50 for these. I don't think that will dissuade anybody. And it might raise, you know, a decent bit of, over the course of a year. So
I know all of us are members of the FAC organization, and I know our county is also a small county coalition member. Let me do a little research right now to see how much our dues have raised in those organizations.
Okay. What I have heard thus far is that I and correct me please, is that I think there is recognition that we need more. I think I've heard some reluctance to go to the top number of 2.5 cents, and that a reasonable compromise might be the 2 cents. Have I correctly summarized what I thought I heard? I see Renee nodding in agreement. I see Michelle nodding in agreement. I see Mario. So this is not a formal recommendation because we don't have a quorum, but I think at the next meeting, we should.
On April 17th, we'll bring this back.
Okay,
for a conversation.
at our next meeting, I will bring this up. And I will say that at this meeting, we discussed increasing from 1.25 cents to 2 cents. And that we had discussed leaving it at 1.25 or going to 2.5 or 2, and the consensus seemed to be to split the baby at 2. Does anybody object to my categorizing it in that fashion? No, all right, so I think we'll do that. What else, Isabel, do we have to go over today, if anything?
I don't think anything.
Okay, I think that that's all we needed, so since we have a couple of more minutes, I would just like it for 5 minutes only, or maybe less, if y'all can come up with some other ideas, not necessarily which group, whether it's the SEDS, whether it's SFRPC, TCRPC, and but topics only. Again, I think one discussion that we've raised the silver tsunami. Another that we're going to have discussions on is housing. I think water, I don't know whether we can do water or whether we break that down into 2 or more topics. I mean, clearly sea level rise / resilience is massive, but potable drinking water may also be. Yeah, and they are related. Other topics that,
And what were they like at the council meeting itself?
Yeah.
Like, every other meeting is supposed to be sort of a special topic meeting.
right. You know, again, we had one some time ago on windstorm insurance. By the way, are any of you, Councilmember Garcia, Councilmember Lincoln, have you know, we prepared a 4-page lengthy document.
Oh, you mean the brochure?
Yeah, the brochure.
Yeah, we sent them out there.
And they've been sent out. If you are not giving those to your constituents, you may want to. They're very helpful
Yeah, we sent. them to
on what
everybody
you
last
should be
year.
doing on, or what your constituents should be doing on windstorm
We're
insurance.
posted on our website
Right.
as well.
So, are there other topics that you can think of off the top of your head for Councilmember Bailey, Lincoln, or Garcia that you'd like us to discuss? And if not, please let us know in the future. Councilmember Bailey, followed by Councilmember Garcia.
Sure, I'll make these really quick. The first, with the flow of infrastructure dollars, the problem that Councilmember Codiron mentioned, how can we collectively work to make sure that all the funding that we're getting from the state and the federal government that we're leveraging and working together collaboratively as a region to make sure that we get the greatest impact of those infrastructure dollars. That's the first thing. The next thing is the health unwinding. The Biden administration during the pandemic pretty much removed all eligibility requirement for Medicaid, and you saw a lot of people that were added to the rolls. Now the emergency order is gone. They are having to unroll those people and come up with plans across the state. How are we going to make sure that people maintain the access to care? Are we working collaboratively?
With your permission, Mario, what I'd like,
Sure.
I think that's a very critical issue. Instead of just phrasing it as narrowly as with the expiration of the COVID era issues, how we're going to deal with it. I think your whole issue, which we haven't really discussed, is access to quality health care. So I
Yes.
agree with you, but maybe just not necessarily just in the context of the unwinding, but the whole, how are we going to deal with health insurance and health care, which are related but not identical.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Senator Garcia?
Yeah, look, one thing that, look, first of all, I think what we did with the solid waste issue, I think that was imperative. I think that's, everyone, I think all 4 counties are now having these conversations, where I think it's extremely important. It just says about the leadership that we have here. I think another issue, and I'm off where we're doing things down here in Dade County too, so it's great that we're having these conversations. But one of the things that I have a passion for, and I'm seeing now more than ever, when we talk about healthcare, maybe we should narrow this and talk about mental health.
Garcia, if you don't know,
Was
is
an
an
expert.
expert, is an expert on healthcare.
Yeah.
No, but thank you. Thank you. I am far from an expert, just did a lot of work in that, but
Mantiero, you are.
Material.
no, but I mean, mental health is a big issue, and I think all of our communities, all of our counties are facing it. And it's not just substance abuse. We often interchange substance abuse with mental health, and they're very different. And because of COVID, a lot of these issues are coming to light now. And Mr. Chairman, you mentioned housing. The biggest problem that you have with people with mental health right now is a lack of permanent housing for them, and they're ending up on the street, and you're starting to see the homeless population exploding. I have to believe that it's happening all across South Florida. So
I've
maybe-
noticed that in the last month or two, I have seen a substantial rise in homeless population that I've been stunned at how much I've seen it in areas of downtown Lauderdale I never used to see it in.
It's happening in Hialeah too. You would have, one, you had your typical homeless folks, right? They're just on the street.
Right.
Now it's just, there's camps that are building up everywhere. So we have to be very careful with that. And yes, housing is a big problem with it, but the idea, the thought of trying to get people into mental health services, and Mr. Chairman, right now, I'll tell you that the system is completely broken, where the Medicaid population, when you enter the system, you have to enter it to the criminal justice system in order to get services. You have a whole population out there of families that are struggling, that their loved ones aren't entering into the mental health, through the criminal justice system. And then when they enter it on the private side, you know how much it is for a 3-week stay at a mental health facility? About $20,000.
Okay, Senator Garcia, let me say two things on that. First of all, Broward County has put in a ton of money trying to eliminate homelessness. And the majority today of the homeless population are people that are having mental health issues.
Yes.
We've virtually eliminated, if you are a veteran and if you're not having a mental health issue, there's so many programs for veterans, at least in Broward, that there's virtually none of this left. Homelessness for veterans, except ones that are having mental health issues. But the mental health, I believe, is the majority. I've been told by experts, the majority of the people that are on the street right now. You're correct on that. And I've complained about this. Well, we're saying defund the police, defund the police. These days, the largest mental health provider in Broward County is the Broward County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, the courts, the jail are.
Right, the jail, well, the sheriff runs the jail. And there's something wrong with that. That's excellent. And by the way, I'm going to be looking to you for leadership in this area.
Yes, I'd love to spend some time really outlining what a program would look like.
Okay, and your problem is, you should know this by now, when you bring up an issue, you frequently end up sharing it. You should know.
I
that.
just realized I should have kept my mouth shut.
Regional conference.
Yeah.
Sounds like October regional.
Okay, Michelle, I know you said water. Did you have anything else?
Thank you, Chair. I'd love the ideas of discussing, doing a workshop more on the mental health as well. I think that is something that affects all of us, in the Keys all the way up. And if in that we can include the fentanyl crisis, I think
that is a different, as Senator Garcia said, but also I think that's an issue that I will create, with your permission, as a separate issue, which is the drug abuse issue. Fentanyl is hitting us. We thought that nothing could be worse than meth. And I keep learning, never say that nothing could be worse, because something always comes along that's worse.
Right. So I think we're hitting some really good topic ideas. I don't know if we could ever do anything on how do we get more creative with matching funds. I mean, is that even something that we could discuss? But I know that's what we always struggle with, is we get a grant and then it's where are we going to
do, which I think Mario brought this up. Maybe if we can do a workshop among the 3 counties on how we can work together applying for federal grants, because, for example, transit grants, I can tell you, if they are regional in nature, have a much better chance of being funded. So that is something that I think is important. All right, I think that between the three of you, we've already come up with enough to keep us busy for the next 2 years. And I'm sure there'll be some other ideas. Is there anything else that we need to discuss today before I adjourn the meeting? Anybody else have anything else? Sam, and did you have anything?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you for the. opportunity.
Isabel, did you have anything?
Thank you.
Commissioners? If not, I really appreciate your being here and please show the meeting that was never called to order unofficially adjourned at 11:22. Thank you. We're done. Bye.
Thank you. Leo, can you come here, please?
Bye, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.
Everybody.
Again,
Happy Easter
we
and Passover.
need to do lunch.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Well,
Yes,
we're gonna
sir.
be seeing you soon,
Okay,
Senator Garcia soon.
Yep.
On the 27th.
maybe we'll do lunch.
Yes.
Okay.